And welcome to Lulay of All Aces. Now, I've been thinking what I'm going to feature out on my video. Um, I've been busy for quite some time, and I'm kind of preoccupied on some personal things. And aside from my full time job, um, being busy away from my kids and finding some time to help them randomly for their assignments, homeworks, and other stuff. So, um, I just wanted to share some personal responsibilities on our health, especially as women who are on the productive year. Productive year in the sense that we couldn't put any bracket for let's say like now being on the 21st century. We are constantly changing, and as like what I've said, I couldn't put up a bracket on the age of puberty or because it's changed now. Before, you would say that somebody who's 13 years old is on their teens. Naturally, because of their age, that's called teenagers. On the 13, 14, 15 until 19, they are teenagers, but that doesn't mean that they are on the puberty age. You get my jits? It's like somebody who is below 13, female, could probably have some development, early development, so you could say that it's on the puberty age. So now going on for my main topic. In our family, we have history of carcinoma, and we know that carcinoma is CA or cancer. And most probably this would help as well for those who doesn't have any history. More so, it has been shown for some studies, although it's just words by mouth, but it is actually a fact that those who do not have history actually get or acquire a certain percentage, remarkably percentage, or I'm not sure, but I think it's more than 10%, could acquire cancer. So, like it has been advised as well, once a female human being would have started puberty, should actually be more conscious about themselves, especially their health, and especially on their monthly period. So, on my family history, I have an aunt who died from cervical cancer. That was like almost 20 years ago. I have another aunt who expired having um, breast cancer, and at that time that was actually clear for me because it just happened like few years back. I think it's like 6 years. Yeah, 6 years when I was pregnant on my youngest. That aunt of mine is actually the one who helped my mom raise me, and although we were not brought up to be like so close and verbally expressive, but I know how she's able to care for us, especially to me, because it's like somehow we have similarity in our features, and that compared to my mom, people would tend to mistakenly call me as her daughter instead of my mom. So, there were some decisions that I got involved, and she would ask me things, and that I know that she wanted to know more of what the doctor would say. It's just that I know her that she doesn't want me to worry, or she doesn't want us to think that she's scared somehow. But I believe for somebody who doesn't have a member of the family, who doesn't have a medical background, would probably face uh, more difficult challenges, especially when it comes to making decisions, because it's either they get scared for what to expect, or it's either they are thinking that by merely asking somebody who is professionally knowledgeable enough about certain diseases would make them somehow have financial difficulties or whatever, because like in the Philippines, as much as you would get away with the doctor, and this is actually a fact that many people or many Filipinos would probably um maybe they would agree with me. It's actually a fact that as long as you can still do some intervention at home, they would actually say as long as it's you're not bleeding, or as long as you're not cutting a limb out of your body, you would try to get away from seeing a doctor. But as somebody who has a knowledge in medical field, like my profession would say, I'm a nurse. I think it made me it gave me an edge to become more to become stronger than my other than the other members of our family would be, because they would at least somehow consider my opinion, and part of my reaction gives them the strength that somehow everything's going to work out. She had oral chemotherapy for a year, and she stopped for some reason because she's not vocal to express how she feels, and because of that, she stopped taking her oral chemo, and she started doing some organic practices, organic diet. She started getting off from her old practices, which for me, it would help her psychologically. But like for me, you've eaten this kind of thing for like almost all of your life. So, like on my opinion, I don't think it's going to make um, a rapid difference when you change your lifestyle now, because it's like you're almost there. And when she passed away, that was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, on April, or 5 years ago, I think, because my youngest is 5 years old. Um, it it made me cry naturally as a human being, because I've been living with her, and I've known her for like when I started walking, when I started talking. I've known how she gets mad, and it's not something that would rattle me off. I'm used to her getting angry or getting on her way at us. So it's natural for us. So my experience with that is it made me realize that I think in once in a lifetime you have to face something, and you have to face something that would be beyond your control. And it made me think that what if it happened to me? I think with death, one thing that would um, make me worry is not because I would die, but because of how the people around me would be when I go unexpectedly. And so, yeah, today I went to the hospital for a follow up. Last November, it's just because I had carpal tunnel. I took a certain medication which I'm not going to mention, but part of that medication has one of the adverse effect that would um, make me bleed, especially during my monthly period. So it's a medication that's associated with controlling or curing my carpal tunnel syndrome somehow. So when it's more on the left, and then mild on the right. Just so because when I use my cell phone and do some texting, I use my left. When I do some errands, I use my right. So it's like actually I'm not a right-handed person because I use both of my hands on personal task and other things, and especially in application of my foundation. I don't know if it's crazy. I use my left, but when I do some combing and I do some writing, I use my right. And there's nothing in a day that I wouldn't be using only one. It's like I always use both of them most of the time. So I wouldn't say that I'm a right-handed person, but I don't know how you call it. Probably you could put it on the comments below on how a person is called when you're mostly using both of your hands. Now, as somebody who has, yes, a medical background, personally for me, it's like the expectation is not so high for certain procedures, because I would know that this is only just to do a certain period of this, and this would only relieve a certain pain. This would only be diagnostic. So it's like I think the most important thing is somehow, somewhere, it's not only the clothes that female person has to decide on, but I think starting medical work up, although I know that it's going to be um, requiring some financial obligations somehow, because here in our hospital, some procedures are actually free that would actually easen up the burden for you not to actually do certain procedures. So yes, last November, when I had this uncontrolled bleeding with that medication that has prescribed on me for my carpal tunnel syndrome, um, I I consulted a doctor that I know, and he advised me to stop it and observe. And just because I knew that we had history of carcinoma in our family, more on my mother's side, I immediately seek help. I went to our employee health clinic and asked for for an appointment about women wellness, because we actually they promote that, especially for those who are female and are not um, exposed or do not have family history of carcinoma. Because most of the patients that we have who are staff or employees do not actually have history. Those who had carcinoma findings on their mammogram, and those who thought they're only having asthma attack, they didn't know that they are actually having the complication of the lung cancer. So we are actually being given the privilege to become aware of it and submit ourselves for some workup. So which I did, and right now I'm having a follow up. For the meantime, everything has been okay, but with their findings, they advised me to have the annual, which is actually due. I had my admission for dilatation and curettage. It is like scraping off the thickened tissue on my uterus, on my endometrial lining, and then they took some sample for pathology, and I'm just glad that it's benign, so meaning it's not cancerous. And for a certain period after that, I didn't experience unexpected bleeding in between my menstrual period. Just so happened only for quite like in the past 3 months, I had the incident of having an irregular period, which I usually have. And yeah, I just had my annual pap smear earlier, and I'm booked for my mammogram, and so far everything's well. I'm just being positive that everything's going to work out because um, like I'm not actually ready yet to leave my kids, more so to leave my family, my parents, because my promise to them has not been even halfway, and um, I just wanted to think that what I have gone through is actually like a natural workout, and that's what for now is the only thing that matters to me. It's benign, so I'm just happy for it. So for everyone out there who are having second thoughts or who are still in the gray, if you feel like you have to undergo certain things, do not wait for you to feel on something. If you actually have an extra money to spend, I think it's wise to invest on your health rather than on other material things, because um, extending your lifespan is a great help in expressing your love for your family. And I guess that is what all of us should actually be learning for. We should all we should actually realize that material things can just happen. I mean, material things can just vanish into few seconds after Hurricane Harvey, Storm Undoy, or sandstorm, or an avalanche, or anything wherever you are, wherever you may be. But being healthy, in my opinion, could actually extend happiness not only for yourself, but for the people that you love. So if you actually have an extra money, an extra savings, even a random checkup, even a random check for your teeth, a random checkup for your ass. I mean, even looking at some abnormalities on your fingers, if you see something that's growing on your face, I think you have to love yourself. And in my strong opinion, it is actually worth spending a penny on yourself and on your health. And that's it. That's my video for today. Um, I don't want to make it longer because I would probably become emotional later on. So let's be happy and let's just be glad that everything will turn out well. So you know the drill. Thank you for watching, and you can actually follow me on my other social media accounts that's linked on the description below. And yes, you can like and subscribe. It would actually help me on what kind of videos you want me to feature out. And just for today, my personal vlog, nothing fancy. And yes, I'm also happy to announce that my pimple is fading off. Just so because I'm not being bougie now, I stopped my new routine of using this night and day cream, and I'm back for my basic soap and water and glycerin or petroleum jelly. That's it. And cream 21. I'm not sponsored, but whatever it is that fits on your skin type, stick to it. Don't change. You see, that's how I suffered for how many months now. I don't have any makeup wearing on and only have my eyeliner. But yeah, thank you for subscribe. I mean, for those who subscribed already, thank you so much. It really means so much to me, even though I was actually asking if you could subscribe for how many times. And for those who haven't subscribed yet, it will actually help me feature out better videos for the future. And if you could actually make comments down below on what kind of videos you're expecting, and I will also link on my other video that's seeking out your opinions on what kind of topic you want me to feature, and I will actually do my best to feature them for you. Because in Lulayoval Aces, you learn nonsense to useful ones that you can apply on your daily lives. Thank you.